Deputy President.
I rise tonight to speak on behalf of nearly 1 million licensed shooters and hunters in this country. At present, the Firearms Weapons Legislation Amendment Bill 2017 is set to be debated in this Parliament next week. We're still working through the bill and will obviously have more to say when it comes before us. As I've said many times, our policy on firearms law is based on fundamental fact: criminals do not obey the law. Aside from the firearms licensing, including background checking and safe storage, there is no scientific, social or economic basis for continuing the Howard approach to firearms regulation. This approach only serves to further demonise and vilify law-abiding firearms owners, while the finite resources of police could be much better spent on targeting criminals rather than law-abiding citizens. The obsession with over-regulation and demonising law-abiding firearms owners in this country has put the handbrake on any meaningful, fair and practical reform. Most members on both sides of politics will happily toe the Howard line on firearms laws, and some may be very loose with the truth, disseminate misinformation and scare the community to suit their own political agenda. In no other area of law do these members exercise such furious political opportunism and scaremongering on firearms matters. We have some members on both sides of the political divide jumping over each other to see who will restrict firearms ownership more. Yesterday's coronial report into the dreadful Lint Cafe inquiry made no mention of legally owned firearms or lever-action shotguns which involved whatsoever. Despite this being the case, the former Prime Minister Abbott's nonsensical ban on the lever-action shotguns, after initially claiming Man Monis was the licensed shooter. As particularly dangerous and ill-conceived policy that came into effect under the government was the ammo bill. Under this government was the ammo bill. The mandatory manual recording of a person's name and address when that person is purchasing ammunition is a huge threat to the community's safety and was a direct attack on every licensed shooter by Barry O'Farrell. He did it on purpose. He knew shooters' homes would be invaded and lives put at risk. It has created hundreds of criminal shopping lists all across the state. What O'Farrell also realised but didn't care to have regard to was the enormous risk and liability he was imposing on law-abiding firearms dealers, with no effect on criminal reduction whatsoever. He was happy to see our supporters placed at risk. As such, we welcome the proposed changes to the upcoming firearms bill that will remove the recording of address details and the transition of this process into a digital system with no paper trail. However, it does not go far enough. This government must go further and abolish it all. There are a lot of other evidence-based sensible changes that can be made to firearms laws that will improve community safety and provide fairer outcomes for licensed shooters doing the right thing. Primarily, we want to establish a firearms ombudsman, clear the recording of all ammunition sales, make suppressors easily available to licensed shooters, remove paintball markers from the Firearms Act, and establish family and home protection as a genuine reason for firearms ownership, to mention just a few. It's all well and good that certain state and federal coalition members make positive noises and take photos with licensed shooters, but their record proves otherwise. The Nationals in particular should be ashamed of their record on firearms control. They rolled over in 1996 when Tim Fisher sold out firearms owners by backing Howard's draconian gun laws. They rolled over in 2002 when they backed the handgun reforms. They rolled over in 2012 when they backed the Greens to back the ammo bill. And they rolled over again in 2013 when they shut down the Game Council and public land hunting. The Liberal National Green Coalition on firearms issues has never been and will never be the friends of licensed shooters and hunters. They are not a party of freedom anymore. They are a party of restriction, control and discrimination. We at the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party will always put the interests of our constituents above all else.